It's opening day 2025 for a CGC Prescreen. Hey there, today I have a CGC unboxing, and in this video I'm going to open up a 9.8 prescreen that I sent straight away to CGC without pressing any of these comics. I will do this on occasion where I just feel like the books are good enough. I do this with a lot of brand new books, pre-orders, variants, retailer incentives, store exclusives, things of that nature. And while my focus is really on older books and getting them cleaned and pressed and sent to CGC, I will still have a 9.8 pre-screen, and what I do is I'm going through and opening my orders is I have different queues for my books, and for the newer books that look to be in great shape, I set them aside in my pre-screen queue, and I try to send 15 books at a time. For me personally, it's easy for me to pack up 15 comics. It's not too heavy. It does get a little expensive, but it doesn't break the budget too much, and it's a manageable amount when I get them back from CGC, because I can get them in this nice big box, and a big box of slabs back from CGC typically means a good thing. It probably means that most of these got a 9.8, but if any were rejected, I'll put those aside and show you which ones didn't get rejected, and then I'll just kind of have to make a decision about what I want to do with those books. I will typically look at them and just kind of pre-screen them as a 9.6 and leave them in my collection. But this box looks large enough that my fingers are crossed that I got a perfect submission. Now, as always, I don't look at the results of the submission. I like to be surprised just like you do. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up, and we'll take a look at which books I sent in for a 9.8 pre-screen. So let's get into it. Okay, interesting. It did come with that heavy, rigid bubble wrap mailer deal. The last CGC submission I got was the older method, which was just basically cardboard. So I don't really quite know where they are with this, but there is no sort of rejection sidecar box. These are all slabs, so it looks to be like a perfect submission. And in no particular order, I'm just going to show you the books that I sent in. And should I cover the grade? No, I should not. This is G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, number 289. This is from 2021, and it's the East Side Comics Edition C. Kind of a long story that I will spare you, but essentially I was after this book at auction. I was not aware of it and ended up placing a pretty high bid. I won the book and then realized at the time I should have just checked for this exclusive, and a couple of the stores still had it available. So a relatively new book from 2021, but I thought this would be a good one to get in a 9.8. Big fan of G.I. Joe, the Baroness, the dark ink in the background and everything. And it is one of those lessons that I continually have to learn and teach myself is check the source, check where the book came from. Sometimes with these store exclusives, the aftermarket marks them up, but they may still be available at the store themselves. The next one is Absolute Wonder Woman number 1. This is the Jeff DeCall variant cover B. And I was trying to play catch up with the Absolute books, particularly the first couple of issues of each Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and ended up picking up a number of these from Midtown Comics. Midtown continues to sort of defy all logic. I have had some rough experiences with them, but then as I was going through my data, I have a lot of my 9.8s. They came from Midtown, so on occasion I feel like I still feel like I have to order from them, and do have a couple of orders coming up soon in a future Raw comic book unboxing. The next one is All Venom number 1. This got the 9.8. This is the Stephen Platt full art edition. This is a 1 in 100 retailer incentive. Unknown Comics was running, it was either a buy one get one free, or if you spend over $100 you got some percentage off. I don't remember what the sale was, but it was quite ridiculous. And love Stephen Platt, and was happy to find out that he was back doing some cover work And I've heard some pretty good things about all new Venom. I think either the host has been revealed now or down to like the final two potential people, or it could be a complete misdirect and be somebody else. But nevertheless, really awesome Venom cover by Stephen Platt, superstar artist from the 90s, back here in 2025 with a 1 in 100 retailer incentive cover. Okay, this one is probably just going to completely explode here in my hands. This is Vampirella number 666. This is the KRS Comics Edition A. I had unboxed a number of these where, good lord, I had pre-ordered a couple of slabs and I had some raw books and went through and very carefully and meticulously reviewed the book itself to make sure that I didn't have any other 9/8 candidates that would be worthy of sending in, and this one is definitely worthy, and went ahead and sent this one in. So now I have some extras that I'll have to figure out what I want to do. I don't know if I should wait until Halloween to display this. I just missed Valentine's Day. This would have been a great Valentine's Day book to put on display, so I'll leave that there for now. Hopefully it doesn't catch fire behind me, or I just got to get another comic here. Here's another one from the Absolute Universe, Absolute Batman #1. This is the Mitch Gerads foil edition. So along with the Absolute Wonder Woman, I placed that same order with Midtown Comics and was just trying to play catch up. And they had marked up some of their Absolute books. I think for a while you could get Absolute Batman, just the cover A, for like $15 before it was sold out. So a number of these, they do have a little bit of a markup, but what I have found is they won't mark these types of books too far up so that they're still within range. And when I started to see the slabs going for above $50, I felt like it was a good time to make sure that I could buy into the Absolute books and make sure I didn't miss out completely on those. The next one, same order, Absolute Wonder Woman #3. This is the Ariel Diaz variant cover. And I just love this cover by Diaz. This too is a retailer incentive, and awesome to get this back in a 9.8 as well. But I've heard so many good things about all three titles. And cover that one up. Don't want anybody's eyes to bleed from staring at that Vampirella book. That would be on me. That'd be terrible. Next is Zatanna, Bring Down the House #2. This is the Jenny Frison cover B. Love Jenny Frison and no complaints. Happy to get the 9.8. This too is a retailer incentive and just a fantastic cover, but this one's on me because I sent this in to CGC just weeks before she announced that she would be back for a Signature Series event. I would have loved to have included this, so I'll have to wait until the next time around. I think she's been at CGC at least twice now, maybe a few times. And I did participate in her signing event. And what I ended up doing was sending already slabbed 9/8s in for the event. So once she's done with the signing event and I get the books back, that'll be a fun unboxing. Typically, they retain the grades, but we'll have to see. But I very carefully selected books like this that had some upside if it did have her signature. This is just a gorgeous Zatanna cover here. Big fan of Frison and her work. And I'm pretty sure I sent 2 in, and here's the second one. So I got 2 copies of Zatanna, Bring Down the House #2, the Frison retailer incentive. Bought both of those from Midtown Comics as well. So most of these came from the same order. And something I'm thinking about doing soon is going through my ledger and picking out some of the orders that maybe I've bought raw that have turned into 9.8s, high value 9.8s, and try to figure out what maybe my most successful order has been over time by running it through this CGC submission process. And I think what would be also interesting is to do my biggest failure order, like maybe some books I bought, I overpaid, and I sent them in for grading and they didn't get a 9.8 or something like that. But it would be interesting right now to go back through that Midtown order and already see what kind of additional value I was able to add to my collection. The next one is Dark X-Men #1. This is the Adam Hughes Virgin Edition from 2023. This was part of that same Unknown Comics order. I think I got 3 retailer incentives, and I sent all 3 in with this pre-screen and did not press any of them. So 2 for 2 on the books back from Unknown Comics. Sometimes you have to be a little patient with some of the bigger, I was going to say retailer incentive stores. And Unknown Comics, you can do pre-orders and order new books and everything like that. But I'm just very patient. I'm not in any hurry. And I'm able to get really nice high-grade copies. They always say that they can only guarantee 9.2 and up and not to expect 9.8s. And it's very true. There's a number of books that I will pick up that are retailer incentives or store exclusives, and they end up getting a 9.4 or 9.6 from me, and I file them away in my PC, and off I go. But in many cases, I'll get nice 9.8 candidates. Next is Harley Quinn, number 41. This is a store exclusive by KRS Comics. This is cover art by Paul Green, and if the art looks familiar, there's a couple of artists, Paul Green and John Royal, that are, I would say, students of J. Scott Campbell, meaning they will often illustrate in his style. And I'm not exactly sure why Paul Green and Royal don't have more of a following, or that they're not on more of the mainstream books. And I don't know if it's because they have a particular deal with Campbell. I really don't know. But I thought this cover was fun, really cool. As a Campbell fan, in this style is really great. Just super cool Harley Quinn cover. And these store exclusives, they're listed as a limited edition, limited print run. And always pretty reasonable to pick up. The trick with those is just getting them before they sell out and trying to figure out which ones are going to sell out and which ones don't. If they don't, then I say you just wait on them and you can get them much, much later at a discount. As that book, I believe, is still available. But sometimes you miss out if you don't rush to the store or the site and buy them as soon as they're released. And so that's always the gamble, is just trying to figure out which ones are the best ones to buy. And honestly, especially with store exclusives, they're just collectibles for yourself. It's really not worth speculating on them, but they're certainly the kind of books I set aside for this process. Next is Exceptional X-Men number 1. This is the KRS Comics Virgin Edition, and this one looks familiar. And yeah, I have one there that I just got recently off of a eBay auction, and so now I have 2 copies of this one. I really love Warren Lau and a lot of the work that he's done in the last few years with his store exclusives. He will put together a new store exclusive maybe once every 2 or 3 months, and I almost always pick up something that he does. And then he also has his own web store where sometimes if you've missed out, you can check out his store and there'll be copies left over or signed copies, or then he may do like an exclusive foil variant specifically just for his web store. So again, kind of like the first comment I made with the G.I. Joe 289, a lot of the hunting down of comic books is just kind of being resourceful and just thinking about going back to the source. So if it's a store exclusive by a particular artist, check and see if the artist has a web store of their own. And a lot of times they'll have copies left over. I'm a big Art Germ fan, and at Art Germ Collectibles, that's where I've picked up a number of his exclusives as well. So lots of different ways to find the books. If you are looking for something and hit kind of a dead end or can't find it, lots of other options instead of just going straight to eBay. The next one is Something is Killing the Children, number 0. This is the Jeff DeCall variant cover. The big Something is Killing the Children book that I missed back when this first came out and I fell in love with the story was the DeCall variant that I don't remember if it's a 1 in 100 or what the incentive number, and frankly it doesn't matter anymore, but it is one of the most valuable, if not the most valuable, Something is Killing the Children variants. It is something that I keep my eye on and I try to search for, but I want to say 9/8 are well over $1,000 for that. out of my price range. But this one, it's nice they brought him back for issue 0, kind of like not a reboot, but just a little bit of a restart to tie some things together to move on to the next phase of the story. And although these are far more common, you can still find them raw in many places. I love that they brought Dekal back for another variant and wanted to make sure I didn't miss out this time. The next one is the Department of Truth number 12. This is from 2021, the Kendrick Lim cover. And speaking of Artgerm, this is the Dallas Fan Expo and Artgerm Collectibles exclusive Virgin cover. And I thought this was awesome. You've got Starface Man, the Lady in Red. Yeah, just Department of Truth, Something is Killing the Children, World Tree. A lot of these James Tynion books, they have so many covers and so many variants. Yes, and that can be annoying and frustrating. I'm particularly frustrated because I almost love all of them. And so it's really hard for me to pass up when I find a variant like this. Again, easy to find, but just absolutely stunning, gorgeous. Just love it. It's hard to believe that Department of Truth is coming up on 5 years old from the release of the first issue. Okay, 2 more to go. And the next one, oh man. All right. Vampirella 666. So there was a KRS Comics Edition A that had the red background. And then, because I'm a sucker for artists like Warren Lau, Jay Anacleto, Will Jack, who did the cover of this one, I had to get the variant, the cover B variant, with the yellow background or orangish yellow background. And really just, I'm going to lay this one down here just for right now. And the idea here is I wanted to secure these in a 9.8, so I had pre-ordered them as slabs already, not necessarily pre-slab, but I imagine the stores will take the best of the best, send them to CGC, they'll get the 9.8s, and then they'll also set aside raw books just to send direct to customers. And what I try to do is if I'm going to invest in one of those pre-slabbed 9.8s, pre-ordered slabs, not sure what to call them, then I will still pick up raw copies in hopes that I can get them in a 9.8. And then also, as I was saying too, with store exclusives, I'm kind of banking on them selling out, and maybe there's a little bit of a premium on the aftermarket for some of these. And the idea is there a way that I can kind of reimburse myself a little bit for spending the extra money to pre-order the 9.8 slabbed versions? It doesn't always work out that way, but I've done this in the past with Warren Lau. I did it with a Harley Quinn book, an Action Comics book with Power Girl, where I was able to get the books raw and ended up selling like a foil copy and a full art, and it was probably twice what I paid, so I ended up getting one of the slabs kind of sort of at a discount in a way. It's just a way for me to justify why I'm buying books like this, other than for obvious reasons. The last book is the third book in that Unknown Comics order, so 3 for 3 back on these retailer incentives. This is Phoenix number 3, the Ben Harvey Virgin Edition from 2024. It doesn't explicitly call it out as a Supergirl Adam Hughes homage cover, but very similar, obviously, in design. And we'll add this to my Jean Grey Phoenix collection, which I would love to kind of display all of my favorite covers of Phoenix together. And this is now one of those. So very interesting assortment of books, picking these up directly from places like Eastside Comics, KRS Comics, Midtown, and Unknown Comics. And books I get from those stores in particular are exactly the books that I like to send in for a pre-screen. This was a perfect 15 of 15 submission. So my track record on this is pretty good in terms of being able to identify a book. Sometimes grading a book a 9.8 is the easiest thing to do because I can very quickly assess the book and I know exactly what to look for in terms of the defects that will prevent a book from getting a 9.8. And I don't have to necessarily worry too much about giving it a precise grade if it's not a 9.8. And so my immediate reaction is it a 9.8? Yes or no? If it is, it goes in the pre-screen pile. And then if it's not, then I'll spend a little additional time on the book to give it a proper grade before I catalog it and put it in my personal collection. What do you think about the books that I picked up? Are these worthy of sending to CGC? Not all books should be slabbed, but for me personally, all of the covers are great. All of the great artwork from illustrators and creators that I love and follow regularly. So a lot of times you're maybe slabbing for the long-term or investment sake. And then a lot of times like this, you're just slabbing these books for display and your collection for the love of comics. Thanks for watching. Happy collecting, and see you next time.